first and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, who do rule and teach well. Peace and blessings, salutations, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Barakathum, to all the sincere believers, the Akim and Akwath, out there diligently listening and learning, keeping the faith and diligence of our Lord Yahweh Shai. All right, so World War III has officially begun, and this is coming from out of Ukraine. All right, the situation that's happening in Ukraine continues to escalate now with Trump being the president-elect. He's talking about bringing peace to these wars, ending the wars, but that's not going to happen, you see, because ultimately they're not in control. The Lord has set these certain leaders up to fulfill his will. All right, as it is written, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So biblical prophecy must be fulfilled, and nobody can go against it. Nobody can stop it. These things must occur. But the point where we're at now is a point of no return. As they say, the proverbial saying of crossing the Rubicon, which represents a point of no return. And that's the point where we're at now. All right, where geopolitically things are so hot that there's no way that it can die down. You see, there's no way that these tensions of war, because you see World War III, world wars in general, is a buildup. First, you may have trade wars, tariffs, sanctions. Then you get to the real hot part of that war where you start to send aid to these certain nations that you're allied with. You start to send troops eventually. And then you start moving artillery around. Right? This is the point where we're at. Right now in Ukraine, Russia is actively fighting a ground war against NATO. And that's well known. And really, that's been the case since the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war, which is really Russia and America. That's a proxy. But, on the surface level, Russia and Ukraine. All right. So once again, we're at the point of no return, and the Lord is really turning this thing up. All right. Since that eclipse happened, which marked an X over America, Babylon the Great, back in April of this year, things have been accelerating. So, hey, we are here, man. All right, we're here. We're at the end, and things are about to get significantly worse. Let's get into this.
News alert now. The former commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian army making the grim declaration. World War III has officially begun as the country faces pressure from North Korea and Iran. Now Russia retaliating with new ballistic missiles after Biden gave Ukraine the green light to fire long-range attack missiles into Russia, and the UK gave their green light with their Storm Shadows. So let's bring retired four-star General Jack Keane. So you see the response from Putin, an experimental intermediate-range missile. Why do you think Putin fired back like this? What's he worried about, General?
Yeah, well, first of all, Putin is really a master of psychological warfare, and in the Soviet Union and Russian playbooks, it always has been a major part of their conducting, kinetic warfare, and he's really quite good at it. I mean, look at it. He's forced the Biden administration never to give the Ukrainians what they wanted when they wanted it, and it protracted the war.
And that's one thing about Putin. This guy is a mastermind when it comes to war. All right. Since the whole Ukraine NATO conflict jumped off, Putin has been very strategic about his resources, the measures that he's taken in this war. All right, because really, Putin is the most level-headed leader on the earth right now. Right now, the West, they just doing anything at this point. They just doing whatever that they want to do with no care in the world. You can just look at what's going on in the land of Israel as an example of that. But Putin, he's been the more conservative, level-headed, very patient, very thoughtful leader in this whole thing. All right. Putin really hasn't made any major moves to, go on the offensive against NATO. Really what he's been doing since the whole Russia-Ukraine thing popped off is he's been defending his territory. All right. Now they're making more moves into Ukraine because obviously the West, they're not going to stop pushing into Ukraine and trying to make that a NATO member. All right. And it's already been brought out that NATO, they pretty much wanted to, well, they were, as a matter of fact, building nuclear missile silos in Ukraine. All right. That's why they wanted to make Ukraine a NATO member. And going back to the 1990s with the USSR, America made a pact with Russia that they would not expand NATO to the Russian border. But with Ukraine, that's exactly what they've been doing. And this has been going on since the 90s, all right? But now we're just at a point now where it's pretty much irreversible. It's clear that America, Babylon the Great, they're not going to take no for an answer, all right? And they're willing to go to nuclear war if that's what it takes to destroy Russia, all right? Because Russia and that, so-called communist bloc, that's the main threat to, Amalek taking over complete world hegemony, all right? Because Russia, China, Iran, they're not with Amalek's agenda, all right? In their nations, they're not with forwarding the beast system in their countries. So this is why Amalek, wants to take these leaders out, man. All right, but this is all going to eventually end in a nuclear conflict, which Putin is trying to avoid. But there's only so much that you can do when your enemy keeps coming at you. All right, you can be patient, you can be tactical and thoughtful, but when your enemy keep pressing your buttons and trying to provoke you into a world-ending conflict, I mean, ultimately, there's really nothing that you can do because the Lord has it on the West America spirit to keep poking at the bear.
So Putin keeps coming, and that's what this is all about. He wants to stop the use of ATACMS into Russia because he knows full well it already has. That can have some pretty significant impact, and certainly that's where he is, and that's what he's trying to get inside of Biden's head here and the Europeans' head. I think he cares less about Zelensky because he knows that Biden controls the switch here. And that's the reality of it. So in my mind, this is an experimental missile. I doubt they have any arsenal of it because it is experimental. They don't have much of it. And he's trying to use this as much leverage as he can to change the behavior of the United States and also Zelensky.
He says the missile goes 2.5 miles per second. The world's current air defense cannot stop it.
So you heard that? So Russia's missiles can travel 2.5 miles in a second. Think about that. Imagine if you could drive 2.5 miles in 1 second. That's faster than the speed of sound, if I'm not mistaken. So these Russians, they got some high technology. And as you heard this news anchor say, the world's, mainly America's current air defense cannot stop it. Right, so really, NATO has gotten themselves into a conflict in which they're not going to win. Right, because in this particular, conflict, Russia has the superior technology. You see, Russia has ICBMs that can travel faster than the speed of sound, 2.5 miles in 1 second. All right, the Iron Dome in Israel can't defend against that. America, damn sure, has no defense against that because all of America's anti-aircraft, anti-missile systems are pretty much out of date, all right? And that's why America is known as the land of unwalled villages. In the scriptures, man, this place has no defense, all right? When you think of an ancient city had thick walls that they could defend and fight against their enemies, all right? America, they don't have that type of defense, okay? These cities are wide open. The American borders are literally wide open right now. And there's no defense against these Russian ICBMs. All right. So when the red button is pressed and the Lord put his spirit on Putin and these world leaders to launch all their nukes, it's going to be the end of the world as you know it.
According to what we have. So that's the message he sent So the former military commander in Ukraine writes this. Soldiers from North Korea are standing in front of Ukraine. Let's be honest. The Iranian Shahidi missiles are killing civilians, drones. It is obvious that Ukraine already has too many enemies. Went on to say this is a world war. You feel like this is a world war beginning?
It's not beginning. We've been in it. All right. If we're at a point now where Russia has launched an ICBM, it wasn't nuclear, but it was an ICBM missile that they launched into Ukraine, into Dnipro. What is that? Is that not World War III? You haven't seen when is the last time that any nation has fired an ICBM into another nation? That's never happened. All right? That's never happened. So this is the point where we're at. World War III is officially on. All right? Because we're at the point now where they're exchanging kinetic fire, where they're exchanging potentially what is going to become nuclear missiles.
Well, I have some empathy for Zelensky, by the way, and for our audience. You know, he used to be the chief of staff of all the forces in Ukraine. And he's highly respected. But, you know, you're sitting where he is, you can understand his feelings about this. I mean, he's fighting Russia, and now another nation state has come into the war to assist in the overthrow of Ukraine. And to truth be known, all the escalation talk has all been about the United States giving the green light to Ukraine to use ATACMS and moving in mines. The real escalation is there's another nation fighting on the ground inside of Ukraine, inside of Russia, attempting to push the Ukrainian forces out of it. That's significant. He looks in the Middle East and he sees Russia's ally also, who started a war there, Iran, and Iran is a tangible provider of assistance. So from his perspective, that indeed may be the case. From our perspective, no. But I do believe we are in a pre-war era. I've said that many times. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea are seriously cooperating together, and they clearly want to change the United States leadership in the world with like-minded democracies. That's why they've been so aggressive and so assertive these last three or 4 years. And German intelligence actually publicized recently. I was amazed that they put this in a public domain, and I was gratified that they do. And I suspect our intelligence agencies feel much the same, but I have no knowledge of that. The reality is they said that Russia fully intends, after the Ukraine is finished with, to expand into Europe. And all the European nations know that. And certainly I think our country knows that. I know that as well.
Now, this is just me speaking as a man based on the situation. I don't really see Russia invading Europe. These things are just rumors. These things are just, just talk of the town right now. But I don't really see Russia going up and invading Europe unless they're really forced to do that. Because really, Russia, they're not really in the interest of invading anywhere. And Putin has came out and said that himself. Really what Putin wants, he wants Ukraine to not become a NATO member or ally. He wants NATO to leave Ukraine, and he wants Ukraine to be absorbed back into Russian territory. All right, that's what Putin wants. He doesn't want to invade Europe, you see. But the fact that NATO keeps poking the bear, that's what it's looking like is gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Because NATO, they want to invade Russia. So at that point, Putin's gonna have to be on the offensive and have to push back. So that's the only point that I really see Putin looking to invade. But when Putin does invade, he's not going to be alone. When Putin does invade, he's going to have China behind him. He's going to have Iran, all right? He's going to have North Korea, you see? It speaks about that in Revelation, the 16th chapter, in the 12th verse. The kings of the east making their way across the Euphrates River. Turkey is going to be allied with them as well, all right? So they're going to have a great company going with them into this war, all right?
So yes, we're in a pre-war era, There's already two wars in our geographical key areas, the Middle East and Europe, and President Xi is threatening war, obviously, in the Indo-Pacific region. The incoming administration, given President Trump's strong views in the past and what he has done to confront adversaries, I believe all of these adversaries are reassessing as a result of the election that took place in the United States. And then I believe when President Trump comes forward and his team and they can begin with policy formulation, that will be another moment for them to see if they have to change the path, the very aggressive path that they're on.
Fox.
Yes, it's going down. All right. Ukraine's former military chief warns World War III is here as North Korea, Iran, and China stand with Russia. You see, these are the kings of the East mentioned in Revelation 16th chapter. All right. Also, when you go into Ezekiel the 38th chapter, all right, we can grab that. Matter of fact, let's just get it. All right. Let's hold that. Ezekiel. You know, because the axis of Ezekiel 38, you know, this is really what the Lord is lining up right now. They're all coming together. Ezekiel 38 and verse 1, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. Now, when you go into Gog in the land of Magog, all right, those were originally the sons of Japheth. You know, that was where Japheth was dwelling at. All right, but with the conquest of Esau, you know, his various campaigns, you know, moving around the earth, being a fugitive and a vagabond, and his blessing being the sword, Esau went into these areas where Japheth was at and conquered them. All right, because when you look, you know, Gog and Magog, that's the land of Russia today. But when you look at that land, you don't see Japhites dwelling and ruling there. You see Edomites. Okay, the Russians, for the most part, are Edomites, right? Set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Okay, which that goes into Turkey, all right? And prophesy against him and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. So the Lord is against Russia, okay, but he's using them to come against the West, to come against the beast system. Because Russia, you know, because you have some guys out there teaching that Russia is a part of the beast system. Well, that makes no sense because Russia was not a part of the Roman Empire, all right? What you see today, this current beast system, this came out of the ancient Western Roman Empire, all right? Russia was never a part of that. Neither was China, neither was North Korea, or any of those Eastern nations, all right? It's the West, you know, Western Rome, they came back, all right? France, Germany, England, you know, Spain, Portugal, Italy. You know, that's really the core of the beast system, with America being the head of it, right? So the Lord said that I am against thee. Verse 4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Now, who's going to be joined to Gog and Magog? Verse 5, Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. All you got to do, because these nations here, they have aligned themselves with the BRICS. And who's a part of the BRICS? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Korea. Okay, so you have Iran that is now joined the BRICS. You have Ethiopia now with the BRICS, Libya. You see? All of them with shield and helmet. So they're all going to, you know, be ready for war. That's what it's saying here. Gomer and all his bands. Gomer is Turkey, the house of Togarmah, Turkey of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. So currently right now, Turkey is with NATO, but they've already expressed interest to join the BRICS. So they're going to leave the NATO alliance and join with Russia, join with China, join with North Korea. Okay, this is biblical prophecy that you see lining up right here. It's all coming together. You see? Verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right. So Russia, All right, Turkey, they're going to be a guard unto these smaller nations. All right, Russia, they're a guard unto Iran and North Korea. They've already expressed that if anything was to happen to North Korea, Russia's going to get involved. Same thing with China. All right, same thing with Iran. You see, so the least of the flock, which is Israel, all right, is drawing out these bigger players into the war. All right, because what Bibi Netanyahu, or Bibi Milkowski, what he's doing in the land of Gaza is outraging Turkey, okay, which is causing them to want to leave NATO, because who's backing them small hats? Israel, America. NATO was backing them in that Gaza war. You see, and Turkey is there. Turkey is not really aligned with NATO like that. I mean, they're cool with some countries, but they're not really too fond of America like that. All right, and America's pretty much the one calling hits on all these nations. So Turkey, they looking like, well, if America is supporting Israel in ethnically cleansing the land of the Palestinians, which are Muslims, because Turkey, they're Edomites as well, the Ottoman Turks, but they're Muslims. All right, so they don't like the fact that America is helping that genocide over there. You see, so Turkey, they want to get away from that American influence. They want to align themselves with Russia, because Russia, they're interested in keeping the peace and helping these weaker nations, go against the West. You see, so there's a lot of confusion. There's about to be a lot of betrayal and switching sides in this thing soon come. You see, so now we can get back to this. It says the general said that as of this year, Ukraine is no longer facing Russia. Soldiers from North Korea are standing in front of Ukraine. And again, Russia has never just been fighting Ukrainians. Since the onset of the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia has been at war with NATO. All right? NATO has been sending their troops to Ukraine since the very beginning. Why you think NATO was like, we want to make Ukraine a part of NATO? Because that's their, battleground, man. That's where they're at. So it's no wonder. This is why Russia's taking the measures that they're taking now, because they now know that NATO has been involved in this thing all along. So all bets are off. He made the comments after reports emerged that around 10,000 soldiers had been sent by Pyongyang, which is North Korea, to fight alongside Russian troops in the Kursk region, as Moscow aims to replenish its forces and reclaim the territory taken from it 3 months ago. Right? Let's get this as well. Nordic countries, right? So Sweden, Finland, Norway, they're ramping up their civil defenses because of this war that is impending with Russia. All right? And these European nations, they're taking this thing very seriously. Over here in America, you don't have the government really pushing to prepare for a potential world war to their citizens. They're pretending like ain't nothing going on. But over there in Europe, the threat is really real, because they're right there in the line of fire of those, nations, Russia, North Korea, Iran. All right. So this thing is deadly serious over there. Right. So they're handing out pamphlets. Right. Russia's war in Ukraine has made the security situation in the Baltic region more tense. The Nordic countries, on Russia's doorstep, have already taken notable steps to improve their military strength, increasing defense budgets, and in Finland and Sweden's case, joining NATO. However, in war, military capabilities aren't the only thing that matters. Civil defense and the preparedness of regular citizens are also important. And see, this is why Russia has a problem. This is why Russia, they're like, listen, F NATO, F America, you know what I'm saying? Because the treaties that they made back in the day, when Russia was known as the USSR, they broke all those treaties. All right, America was the one that outlined back in the early 90s that they wouldn't expand Russia any closer to the USSR border. Well, today, look, they've even made Finland and Sweden, which, those were once neutral countries, but now they've joined NATO. And guess what? They're right on the border, that northern front of Russia. You see, so this is why they're stressed out about this whole situation. You know what I'm saying? And I forget exactly who it was, but it was probably the chancellor of Germany. He pretty much said that, with all these wars that America has been, starting off, they're pretty much, begging Russia to destroy Europe. All right. So even within the house of Esau, you have some that want war, and you have many that don't, because the Edomites, they understand the implications of what's going to come from this. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be mass death, famines. The world as they know it is going to come to an end. You see, but they can't stop it anyway, because this is the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and may the Lord's will be done. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter. 2nd Ezra 16, and let's go to verse 17. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The vision that the prophet Ezra was seeing of the last days and the world wars and the famines and, just the chaos, all the confusion that was going on, that caused him to say, woe is me. Who's going to deliver me in those days? That's how bad it's going to be. The land is going to be barren of faith. It's going to be barren of hope. No one, listen, man, this is why we say, if you don't have Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, then you through. There is no hope for you. There is no salvation coming to you, man, because when everything in this world that you see passes away, your fate is going to go with it, you see? But we have a greater hope. We understand that, these wars got to come. That these conflicts are going to escalate. The nuclear war is going to break out. But guess what? We have hope at the end of this. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, that the Lord got us, that the Lord is going to keep us through all these calamities, you see? Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And drafts are coming back, okay, because they're gonna have to, because they don't have the personnel, they don't have the troops. Even America, they're short in every branch of the military. Of course they put mercenaries in there, but the mercenaries, that's not really sure foundation to base your fighting force on, because the mercenaries, they're just fighting for money, they're fighting for incentives, but they don't really care about preserving the integrity of America. You know what I'm saying? So they can be very fickle. They can switch sides. They can fight for the enemy if a better price and opportunity is given. All right, and that's the flaw with Esau, because even in ancient Rome, that's what Esau was doing. He was bringing in certain tribes to fight as mercenaries in the Roman military, but there were multiple occasions in which Rome was betrayed by those same very mercenaries, man. All right, and that's ultimately what led to the downfall of Rome being sacked by barbarian tribes. All right, so, just like how Esau's ancient kingdom fell, it's going to fall again with this modern day revitalized Rome. It's going to fall the same very way, you see? And the Lord is making it manifest through these signs, right? Now we can get this, because this is another thing that's going to lead to famine, all right? Because the other day we saw that it was how many millions of pounds of carrots got recalled for E. coli. Now you got all these other recalls going on, all right? And they're trying to X out the farmer. They're trying to X out natural foods. And I truly believe that this devil Esau Edom, that he's purposely contaminating the food supply, all right, to aid in this depopulation effort. Because it's like, damn, every time you look up, something else is being recalled. And you've never seen it like this before, Like I remember coming up, you might have had a food recall maybe once or twice a year, but it seems like every month there's a food recall, all right? So this time it's ground beef, which a lot of people consume ground beef, 165,000 pounds, all right, of ground beef have been recalled due to potential E. coli contamination. And that there's people going back to the spirit world behind this, but they're not going to report it. All right, even with the carrots, they said that I think 3 or 4 people died, but the number is always higher. Esau always downplays the numbers because he doesn't really want too much exposure to go to that, you know. But yeah, ground beef is being recalled, right? Tortilla strips have been recalled in 22 states as allergen warning issued, right? Tortilla product recall potentially affecting 22 states was issued on November 22nd due to a contamination of undeclared wheat allergen. The recall is for 3.5 ounce pouches of fresh gourmet tortilla strips, Santa Fe style, you know. And Yahweh Shah told us in Matthew the 24th chapter that in the last days there would be pestilence. All right, so this is a part of it. There would be famine. This is going to lead to famine as well. All right, it's also going to lead to a lot of death. All right, because Esau is so much of the devil that the food, well, really the food already is contaminated, and we're eating it and living. You know, the scriptures say that, you know, we shall eat poison and live. You know, it's really only through the grace and mercy of Yahweh Bashman Shah that we're still alive, man, because even if you try to eat organic, you know, the soil that they grow the food on has all kind of, you know, additives in it. It's really not safe for you to eat. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, in this world, we got to do the best that we can. You know, we got to eat the best of the worst. But, you know, this is even more of a sign that we got to get out of here, because this is truly the land of the shadow of death, the valley of the shadow of death. Right? America produces death, man. You look on the store shelves and you look at the products that they sell is full of sugar, is high in sodium, you know, GMOs, and, you know, just all kind of madness that is in the food supply that shouldn't be there. All right. So this devil got to go. We got to get up out of here, man, because, hey, as the scriptures say, as it is written, if the days weren't shortened for the elect's sake, no flesh will be saved, man. And that's what Esau wants. You know, he wants to severely depopulate the earth so that there can be a small percentage of people left that he can control more easily and build his system around that, right? Indoctrinate and, you know, program them the way that he wants, like robots, right? Listeria outbreak kills infant. Ready to eat meat and poultry face latest recall. And this is all within the past week. You see? This is all within the past week. This is why I believe that Esau's purposefully contaminating the food supply. You see? So you can't eat nothing. You know what I'm saying? You can't have beef. You can't have chicken. All right? I seen that they had pork recalls and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We don't deal with the pork, but, you know, the point remains that this food is really not safe to eat. This is why we got to pray. You know, it's always important to pray over your food, brothers and sisters, because you don't know what's in this stuff, man. You know, you know, you got to be especially careful if you eating out. You know, I wouldn't even really recommend dealing with fast food in this time, because that's like the worst of the worst that you can consume. You know, but either way, you know, just be very vigilant. You know, buying these meats and buying these certain foods, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this devil, he's really hastily trying to depopulate the earth. All right. Let's go to second Ezra, the 6th chapter. Second Ezra, chapter 6. Where is that? 6 and... yeah, Salakia. I just passed it. See, yeah. Second Ezra chapter 6, in verse 22, it says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty." Because what this devil he's trying to induce is a famine. All right. The farmers are being cut off. You know, they're being told to burn their crops. You know, they're not being allowed to get more funding to run their farms. You know what I'm saying? So Esau, he's cutting off the farmer, which the farmer is an essential essential to the running of a functioning society. You know, without the farmers, you don't get no food. All right, those that till the ground. It speaks about that in 2nd Ezra 16 as well. They that till the ground shall mourn. All right, so the farmers are mourning. Their way of life, their business is being cut out. All right, and eventually the sown places are going to appear unsown. The food is not going to be there because you're going to have so many outbreaks of this and that Esau is going to say, hey, you know what? We got to, stop the transportation of these meats because it's going to lead to a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? People are dying from this. And, we know how the devil do, right? Verse 23, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Right now, fear is overtaking the land. Big time. Verse 24, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. All right, so societal chaos, man. Because look, when there's no food, the only reason why you see some semblance of peace in the society right now is because people can eat, right? People can still go to the all-you-can-eat buffet. They can go to the hook and reel, eat all the seafood that they can eat, red lobster, you know what I'm saying? Just they can eat to their heart's content. But when food is taken away, what happens? People get hangry, all right? People are angry because they're hungry. And after a while that you haven't eaten, desperation sets in and you're willing to go to extreme measures to nourish yourself, right? And we know these people are full of demons. They don't know nothing about fasting. They don't know nothing about afflicting their spirit. So when that time comes, it's going to be dog eat dog, all right? They're not going to give a damn if you young or you old. You see, also cannibalism is going to come back in a big way, which a lot of people ain't ready for, man. You see, the times we coming into the time of Jeremiah 30:7, Jacob's trouble, it's going to be a time like no other, right? You're going to have so many things going on simultaneously that it's going to bug a lot of people out. It's not, in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right? Because through this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, we're going to know how to navigate through these times. We're going to know that everything's all good. You know what I'm saying? That these things must come. These things, this is prophecy being fulfilled, man. But ultimately, it's not for us. It's not for the true believers. It's to afflict the wicked. That's why the Lord is bringing these judgments on the earth, to punish the wicked, all right? But if you trust in the Lord, and you're doing what's pleasing to the Lord, then the Lord is going to exempt you from these judgments, right? While the rest of these people, they all going to be destroyed for their wickedness. You see? This is the end of Esau's world. Verse 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right? So this is the end of Esau's society. And, the crazy thing is, the Lord is using Esau to break down his own rulership. All right? Because right now, you got the East versus West, and who are the two main players? Russia and America, NATO, which are Edomites. All right? So the Lord is raising up the Edomites against themselves, which represents division within their house, Satan casting out Satan, and his kingdom is not going to stand for too much longer. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this was edifying through Rakah Kadash, call law, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect, Kom Yasha'Allah, and the Bible Ball. Shalom.